Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So what I wanted to do today was take a look at the new Supercarrier next to some of the old carriers and do a little bit of a performance comparison with like the Hornet and the Tomcat on the Supercarrier. So without further ado, here we go. So I wanted to take a look at the performance of the new carrier versus the old carriers. So, what I've done is lined all three of them up pretty close together there. So on the right we have the Supercarrier. This is one of the three. This is the Washington. In the middle is the Stennis, and on the end over here is the Carl Vinson. Of course, I must have set one of them to move and the other two not to move. I can change that. So anyway, but more importantly, I wanted to see what kind of FPS I would get on the deck of the new carrier versus the old. So it looks like sitting at around 24 FPS at the very least on this guy. Seems to be the magic number, 24, but everything looks fantastic. And my video settings are cranked up, so there's that. So let's choose a slot. Let's jump over to the Vinson. This is the one that doesn't usually work so well. Notice how much more FPS I got? Sitting at around 32. What was I hitting? 24 to 29? All them objects take up some horsepower, without a doubt. Much better. And again, let's take another slot and let's go to Stennis Tomcat. Here we are, 33, 32. Spin around a little bit. 29 at the least, but not 24. But there's definitely a difference. I mean, the new carrier looks fantastic too. It does look better. Everything about it is better. I mean, look, this is the Stennis. Over to the other side is the Supercarrier, the Washington. You can even see, like looking in the decks over here, the below deck area compared to the below deck area over there. So much more detail. I'll zip back, try to give you a comparison here too. This side versus that one. It's just day and night. I have that blur turned on, so it's making things a little hard to see. But even the island is way more detailed on the new one versus the old one. In multiplayer, this is going to offer a lot more places to start from because it's a larger deck. I mean, in comparison, you can see it's much wider. At a glance, it doesn't look like it is, but it is. Should have placed them a little closer together to make it easier for you to see, but I just wanted to show you guys what I thought of the Supercarrier so far. I think it's pretty cool, but it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses because it's in early access right now. I haven't figured out yet how to stop or start out from the parking position and then for them to, you know, tell me what cat to go to and to kind of shift me around the deck to tell me where I need to go. That part I haven't figured out yet, but of course I did read the manual. Who does that? Not yet, at least. But, I mean, to give them credit where credit's due, it looks fucking beautiful. The models are nice. You know, the guys all have some kind of interesting little animations. You know, I'm almost expecting them to scratch their nuts. You know what I mean? Like, they don't look just like, you know, a couple objects that are just looking pretty. You know, they have. See, look, that dude just kind of leaned back and stretched his back. They've all got these interesting little movements that kind of lead you to believe that, you know, they're not just a static object. And again, the detail, I mean, the deck texture alone is pretty awesome. Everything about it is just way more high quality than what that other carrier is sitting over there. And it's definitely going to add a new level of immersion and fun factor to the carrier ops, especially if you love the Hornet and the Tomcat. And I absolutely love the Tomcat, so I think it's going to be fun taking off from this now and taxiing around on this, where I have a little bit more room to move around too. On the other carriers, I always felt like I'm going to drive off the deck or something, and if you slip up a little bit, you know, you're just going to go into drink. At least here you have, it's a little bit wider, there's a little bit more room to move around, so it is pretty cool. I'll give them that. I don't know that this thing's ever going to be worth $50, but I got it on sale for $24.99 because I own the Hornet already, so I was cool with that. $25, but even at $25, I'm like, this isn't kind of the thing I would usually buy, but since I like the Tomcat and I like the Hornet, I bought it. If you don't like the Tomcat or the Hornet, there's almost no reason to buy this. Alrighty, here we are in 2D on the deck of the new Russian carrier in a Su-33, and I'm sitting at a pretty damn good 50-some, almost 60 FPS here, and I made one change to my graphics settings to reach this, and I'll show you what that is. So basically, I went in here and I turned MSAA off, and I turned motion blur off. Everything else is the same as it was in my initial Supercarrier first impressions video. The only change was turning the MSAA off and motion blur off. And now I'm getting considerably better performance at the moment. And everything still looks absolutely fantastic.
Minimum speed. Minimum speed.
Up and away. So I'm doing a little bit better in the Tomcat at the moment. Sitting around a considerably better 32 FPS instead of dropping down to about 24 at the minimum. Let's kick it up a notch. Let's give these guys the old salute. And let's get this show on the road.
Friendly, Bra, 145,
Up and away.
Angel 16. We've got Nails, 9 o'clock, and, Nails...
Alrighty, here we are in the Hornet again. And again, much better FPS. And all I did was turned off MSAA and turned off the motion blur. And there's our three carriers again. And again, it's funny that the Carl Vincent looks like it's so much bigger than all the others, but that's the Vincent all the way on the left side. In the middle is the Stennis, and on the right is the Supercarrier, the Washington of the 3 Supercarriers. So it's kind of strange how there's that optical illusion going on there.
Altitude. Altitude.
Now this is considerably better. And it still looks pretty damn good. And it's just a matter about balancing things. Let's spool it up. And let's give him the old salute. So taking a look at the options, you'll see that what I did was I turned heat blur off, turned MSAA off, I turned the water down to medium from high, and motion blur was turned off as well. And that seemed to make a considerable difference in my performance. Because that 24 to 30 something was pretty terrible, but yet now I'm hitting as high as 72 FPS in the cockpit of the Tomcat, which is fantastic. So it's all about sacrifices. What do you want to sacrifice to get that better performance? So that's why I laugh when I see people say, I get 60 FPS consistently with all the details cranked up, and I just have to claim bullshit. Alright guys, so that is some fun stuff in the Supercarrier, and a little comparison of performance, a little comparison of what the carriers look like next to each other, and some of the differences, and also goes to show that you can get the performance a little bit better if you do a little bit of tweaking and you're willing to sacrifice some things. Basically, by going in here and just taking the water down to medium, turning heat blur off, turning SSLR off, turning the motion blur off, and MSAA off, I was able to achieve much better performance. And that's what you got to do with DCS. You know, it's really nice to have everything cranked up to make videos, but it's also nice to have decent performance too. And that's why I gotta laugh sometimes when I see people talk about, oh yeah, I get a consistent 60 FPS all the time, and I use a TV screen, and I'm like, oh my god, that's terrible. And not only that, but there's no way in hell anybody is getting a consistent 60 FPS in DCS with every one of these details turned on to the maximum. It's just not possible with the hardware that we have today. As soon as you get some objects on the screen, stuff's going to take a nosedive, you know, especially in multiplayer. But it's clear that the Supercarrier has added more objects and more visual detail to DCS, and in doing so, of course, that's going to be a little more taxing on the hardware. But with a little bit of tweaking, I think you can achieve some reasonable trade-offs to get a little bit more FPS out of it. But again, cranking everything to the max and expecting things to play great, even on what, you know, is a high-end system, just isn't practical. So there is that. So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit the like button, and until next time, guys.